What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Another episode of Around the Track with the Riders, the NASCAR podcast featuring myself, SterlingRider, and Duke Rider.
Hey, what's up, everybody? A couple good weekends with some good races and a not so good race kind of stuck in there. But had the big thing that's come out of the past 2 weeks is the broadcast, the
Yes,
Amazon Prime broadcast.
absolutely. I'm blown away at how well they have been doing. And like as the start of, I started watching pre-race coverage because,
Mhm.
Amazon Prime was like, we're gonna, of course, I know Fox normally has it too, like Countdown to the Green, but I never watch it because it's boring. Okay, I decided to tune in to,
It's been the same stuff for the past 25 years.
yeah, exactly. Dang, I ain't even been alive that long. Um, so I was like, I want to see what this is like. And so I tuned in and I was just immediately blown away by how well it started. I was like, this is the pre-race show? I was like, I'm really excited for the post-race show if this is the pre-race show.
Oh, and you talk about the post race show. Um, Probably the best post race show I've ever seen, and I've been watching races since the early '90s. So, um, and do have to say, it's absolutely the best, the first post race show where we've seen like on stage with all the commentators and all that, where they're toasting with a beer,
Yeah, yeah,
toasting winners with beer. So, uh, and that may not be everybody's cup of tea, because not everybody's into drinking beer and stuff like that. But as far as connecting with the fan, okay, because your average race car fan, they like to have a beer or two. But it's a way to connect with the fans and say, hey, we're no different than you. We like to have a beverage of our choice, whether it's beer or Coca-Cola or Mountain Dew or whatever it is. They're like, it's just their way of saying, hey, like to have fun just like you guys do with a beverage of our choice. And it's awesome to see. It's fun to see. They're celebrating the winner, which we haven't seen in a very long time. They do the front stretch interview, and that's pretty much it. Well, with Amazon's post race stuff, they're celebrating the winners.
yeah.
Um, but I'll tell you what, when we talk about the Coca-Cola 600, I'm not going to get into it now, but I'll tell you what really stood out to me on the post race show when we get to it, when we get to the end of the Coca-Cola 600, because um, just to kind of mention it, but what William Byron did on the post race show, that is maturity. I mean, that is just maturity defined. What he was able to do. But we'll talk more about that when we get to the end of the Coke 600. But yeah, so news. I know that there's a couple things that you mentioned you want to talk about, but I want to talk about something real quick that kind of struck me. But we did know that this was something that was in the charter agreement that NASCAR forced through the charter agreement, was that NASCAR would have the ability to own a charter if a charter was available, or to field a team in the Cup Series. Well, that almost happened. Jim France was wanting to put his IMSA driver in the race. I believe it's Sonoma, and he went to Hendrick Motorsports, and Hendrick said, "Well, we can't do it because we've already got 4 cars on the track, so we can't do it." So they went to Spire Motorsports, and from my understanding, Spire Motorsports, they had the car built, they had the crew chief, they had the crew, everything ready to go. But then the backlash from inside the garage nixed the whole idea, which um, bring up the Indy 500. We've the penalties that happened with Team Penske
Mm.
with the Indy 500 that we talked about um, on our last podcast, because we're at the point to where the penalties had come down. Um, there were 3 people that got fired at Team Penske for that happening, and it is a black eye on the sport when the owner of the sport Roger Penske. Cars are found cheating. It's not a good look for the sport. And this had the potential and has the potential because it's still in the charter agreement that all but two of the teams signed. That and we already know NASCAR has they've been accused of having favorites in the past, throwing cautions at certain times and stuff like that. This would raise a lot more questions if NASCAR owners, Jim France, put a car out on the track. Okay, the caution comes out late, the driver's running second. Ooh, was that for his driver?
Yeah.
You know, there's just, it could raise a whole lot more questions that it would be a good look for the sports. So I'm kind of glad that this didn't happen. But the point that it got to, I would not be surprised to see it happen in the future.
Yeah, it getting so far. I didn't even know this was a thing. Of course, I kind of asked you what what was new about things beforehand, real quick before we started. But when you said that, I was like, huh? So to know that it's crazy to me. We have discussed before about the charter agreement, how they were saying, hey, if there was a charter available or something, that NASCAR could put their own, driver in the field. But we've said multiple times before, and like you just explained, that's not going to look good for the sport, or really any of the other teams, because it's kind of screwing over the other teams, because we know that NASCAR is going to do everything in their power. Excuse me, voice crack, in their power, to get that car into victory lane no matter what. So I'm relieved that it's not going to happen. I feel bad that it's Spire that was kind of the ones that put all the work into doing it as well. Like, as you said, they had the car, had the crew ready to go. And I hate that Spire did all that work for nothing. But I'm relieved that it's not going to happen. So, interesting news for sure. I like I said, I knew we've talked about that being in the charter agreement, but I never actually expected it to happen. So that's about all I got for that.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, you look at the Cars Tour. Dale Jr., Kevin Harvick are both owners in the Cars Tour. They both have cars in the Cars Tour. But Dale Jr.'s even said on his podcast that, look, hold my cars to a higher standard than you even hold other people to. Check for things in my cars that you wouldn't check in other cars, just so that problem isn't a problem in our series, but yeah, it wasn't a good thing, but the fact that it's in the contract, it's in the charter agreement, it very well could happen in the future, even if, because we know we've talked about Dodge is potentially coming into the sport, right? Well, for Dodge to have a charter, what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to buy an existing charter, or NASCAR is going to have to open up another 2 to 3 charters. This could lead back to the field going back to a field of 43 starters, and they open up 3 or 4 more charters,
which I would be okay with.
4 more charters for 2 more Dodge to bring in 2 car teams, and that would give us 40, and then you'd have the 3 open spots, right? Who's to say NASCAR doesn't do that and own 2 of the Dodge teams? They have owned 2 of the charters. So if with this becoming a thing, even with the kickback in the garage, they signed the charter agreement. So this clause is in the charter agreement. So if it does happen with Dodge coming in, this is a perfect opportunity for them to do this. So if it happens, don't be surprised.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I wouldn't be surprised, but I would be highly disappointed.
Yeah, me too. For sure.
Anyways, you did mention Dodge, the possibility of Dodge coming into the sport starting 2026 with the Truck Series. I don't know if you saw my retweet from Adam Stern on Twitter, talking about YouTube star and ARCA driver Cletus McFarlane. It's apparently being in the books that he could be involved in a new truck team with the Ram truck coming into the trucks. What are your thoughts on that being a possibility for Cletus?
Well, seeing seeing his races in ARCA, and at Charlotte, he made a pretty big error. But it's his first time on a restart with old tires ever in this type of environment, and he made a mistake, and people crashed because of his mistake. Okay, and I get that. I know some people were hammering him about that, but he doesn't have a whole lot of starts in these types of vehicles at these types of tracks. So, and I know he does plan on running a couple more ARCA races this year.
Mm-hmm.
But why the heck not? I mean, we've seen other drivers that show up in the Truck Series we've never heard of before.
Yeah, very true.
This never made a start in ARCA or never made a start in the Cars Tour. They're just a local short. Matter of fact, the Truck Series, when it started back in 1995, most of those guys ran modifieds or this Southwest, what used to be the old Southwest Tour or Southeast Tour. That was the eventually became the Busch West and the Busch North, and then became the K&N Series. This kind of ARCA now. Well, that's where those drivers came from the first year of truck. So, and a lot of those drivers people had never heard of. NASCAR team owners got them. They put them in these trucks, and many of them, Ron Hornaday, Mike Skinner, Jack Sprague became superstars in NASCAR. So even a Kevin Harvick, he got his start out in the K&N East or West Series, got it in a truck, and he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So new team, why not? I don't have a problem with this. I actually think with Cletus being the personality that he is, it would be great for the Truck Series. As long as he doesn't jump into the Demolition Derby side of it.
No, great points. I mean, I would agree 100%. I think, there are a lot of these guys that we haven't heard of before step into the trucks, and it's like, wait, where did he come from? And that's how we get to know these drivers. And I think, Cletus, yes, we know about him because of just the big star and the attention he brings to just the ARCA, series itself. It's I think it would be good for the Truck Series too. And as you said, as long as he avoids the Demolition Derby side of the racing, I think he would probably finish pretty well as well. And obviously he'd bring a lot of fans to that race as well, just for him. So I think it would be a good idea. I will recommend, since it's with the new Dodge trucks and, his first time being in a Craftsman Truck Series truck, get him a test session or two. So, because these Dodge Ram trucks are going to be, they're going to be different than than the Chevy and Toyota and Ford. And then him not having any experience in them whatsoever, it would be really good. So I think it would be a good way to test the body of the Dodge while also letting a driver that hasn't been in this car get some practice in with the test session. So that's my idea. NASCAR probably would, if they even some way, somehow stumble upon this podcast and hear that, they'd probably be like, that guy's an idiot anyway, because, well, we know what we say about them. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Well, if not, I'd like to see him get put in a truck, probably not a top tier truck, but at least a truck where get him in a truck at a Richmond. Maybe get him at a truck at a. I'm trying to think of what races we go to that are like maybe mile and a half that we, because you don't want him in a truck in the playoffs. Okay, you don't want that. I hate when drivers make their first start in any series in the playoffs. It doesn't make sense. It's a caution that's almost guaranteed to happen. So sometime between now and the playoffs start, get him in a race. Let him get some seat time in these trucks.
So I'll throw in real quick with the races left before the playoffs with the trucks. I think some good ones would be Michigan, Lucas Oil, or as you had mentioned, Richmond. I think those 3 tracks would be really good. Obviously, I don't think Michigan's going to be one he could do now, just because it's literally the next race on the season. But give him a chance at Lucas Oil or Richmond.
Yeah, those would be 2 really good tracks to get out there and get his feet wet for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Are they racing at Gateway? Let me bring up the schedule real quick. See if they're racing at Gateway.
I believe they are racing at Gateway, but I believe they're doing it. Never mind, I lied. They are not. The trucks are not racing at Gateway.
Okay, well, all right, never mind then. That leaves that out.
I think that may be because they're racing at Lime Rock Park, and I don't have any remembrance of them ever racing there in the last few seasons.
Yeah, that's new on the schedule this year, I believe.
And so, I'll tell you right now, that track is hard to do on the simulator. So I'm actually kind of excited for that race because it is
and that's something else he needs. Yeah, you mentioned that. That's something else that would really help him get ready for the truck series. Is put him in that simulator. I don't care whether you put him in a Chevy, a Dodge, a Ford, whatever. Get him in one of those simulators and let him run some races. I'm not talking about the iRacing simulator. I'm talking about the actual simulators that the drivers and the teams use for their setups. Get him in one of those a few times.
Yeah, I think that would be a really good idea too. That gives him some experience. Obviously, it's not on at the track experience, but it's about as close as you can get to the real thing. So yeah. Absolutely, give him the chance.
You and I have been in something similar to that where the vehicle moves, as you turn or whatever, so that would really help him to
absolutely
to kind of get acclimated a little bit.
Right. Yeah, so some other news. There really isn't a lot of news this time, y'all, besides what we discussed and what I'm about to say, as there's been a couple of contract extensions. I only know of 2. I haven't seen any others, but I think that's because there's only been 2 that come out. The first one I'll start with is one that I expected to be a little bit longer of an extension, but Kyle Busch with Richard Childress Racing now has a contract through 2026. I was expecting an additional year or 2. However, I will also say at the same time, I kind of understand because Kyle, I would believe, is starting to get at that point where it's kind of time to kind of wind down and potentially get ready to get out of the car.
Well, this was a team option. So the team had the option to pick him up for this next year. Austin Dillon has said, I believe it was on Door Bumper Clear, said that he had 1 more year on his contract. So there's possibly, and I've heard this from several of the different NASCAR podcasts that we listen to, the Teardown is one of them, and then Door Bumper Clear, I believe was it was either Door Bumper Clear or the Dale Jr. Download, and they talked about there's a possibility with both of their contracts running out at the end of 2026 that there could be a complete and total revamp of RCR. You've got Austin Hill waiting in the wings. You've got Jesse Love waiting in the wings to move up, and Austin is I believe Austin is ready. Richard has been preparing Austin through different avenues, their PBR tour and other things that Austin has been running to prepare Austin to step out of the car and to step into the office and run the team. Because let's face it, Jeff Gordon's running day-to-day operations over at Hendrick Motorsports and stuff like that. So because they're getting, Rick Hendrick and Richard Childress and Jack Roush are getting up there in age, and Roger Penske even as well. I don't know if Roger has anybody lined up to do this, and Joe Gibbs as well. These a lot of these owners that have been around for 20 and 30 and 40 years. We just celebrated Hendrick's 40th a couple years ago. I mean, the Wood Brothers Racing, they've been around forever, but they've had people, the original Glenn and the original people that started Wood Brothers, their kids took over, and now John Wood, one of their kids, is taking over. So there's a family line there, and same thing with Richard Childress with Austin Dillon. So if Austin steps out of that car at the end of next year, they put Austin Hill in that car, it would not surprise me one bit. And then Kyle Busch steps out of the A car and they move Jesse Love up. This is a perfect opportunity for that to happen. Don't be surprised if that happens. But everything that I'm reading that like Jordan Bianchi and Jeff Gluck and other people are putting out, silly season this year is not going to be that hectic. There's still a couple dominoes to fall. We've got the Connor Zilic, Daniel Suarez, Shane Van Gisbergen, dominoes in there to drop, yet this season. But they did say that next year's silly season is going to be one for the books because of all of the contracts that are expiring at the end of 2026.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I could see it. It would make sense. You want to come in, team. Start things aren't working right, or just kind of seems like it's time for that rebuild. Hopefully they don't pull the Chicago Bulls and try to rebuild for the past 20 years. But
going close to 30 years.
Yeah. Anyways, but with RCR, I mean, like you said, Austin Hill is beyond ready. For the Cup level. Jesse Love, I feel like Jesse needs a little bit more time, but I feel like with Austin Hill and the RCR Xfinity team, how strong they are, I think once it is that time to step up into the Cup, he'll be more than ready for it. So you've definitely got young talent ready to step up. So I could 100% see it with that happening. And then, as you said, there are a lot of contracts ending in 2026. So it's going to be one heck of a silly season for that. My biggest one I think is going to be interesting is the Alex Bowman one, who might land in that 48 if he doesn't perform for the next year, season and a half.
Well, I think the Denny Hamlin contract is going to be the most interesting because I think his contract might be determined by the lawsuit that 2311 has on NASCAR.
That is a very good point.
I think his contract is up at the end of next year as well. So the outcome of the 2311 Front Row Motorsports versus NASCAR lawsuit may very well dictate Denny Hamlin's contract or lack thereof.
Yes. I didn't realize his contract ended next year as well. So that one's going to be the biggest one for sure. So anyways, moving on with the second contract extension, one that I am happy with and not surprised with whatsoever. William Byron signed with Hendrick Motorsports through 2029. So obviously as you can see in the background of the flag, Daytona 500 champion. We're, William Byron fans, both of us, so we're both super excited about that one. So
race multi race winner. He's not done. He's not done running races this year. Heartbreak at the Coca-Cola 600. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. He will be a champion. We could have said the same thing about Ryan Blaney 3-4 years ago. We've said the same thing about Christopher Bell. When the dominoes fall just right, they will be champions. Mm-hmm. We've seen Ryan Blaney. The dominoes fell just right. Ryan Blaney is a champion. It's going to happen for Christopher Bell. It's going to happen for William Byron. So why wouldn't you want to lock down a talent like that for long term?
Absolutely.
Most contracts are 3 years. But why not? If you've got a driver like that, you don't want to let a driver like that go. And if Joe Gibbs would have known what Joey Logano was going to turn into, Joe Gibbs never would have let Joey Logano go. Joey Logano would still be driving the 20 car had Joe Gibbs known what Joey Logano was going to do. I even say the same thing for Rick Hendrick with Brad Keselowski. Had Rick known what Brad was going to do and how Brad was going to turn out, Rick never would have let Brad go. Now, whether Rick would have let Kyle Busch go remains to be seen, because Kyle just wasn't clicking with that team. But yeah, you don't let a talent like a William Byron get away. You don't let a talent like a Christopher Bell get away. You don't let those talents get away. You just don't.
No. So excited about that one. As you said, definitely going to be a champion. I'm thinking of multiple championships for him in the books coming soon. But through, as you said, most contracts are only, through, 3 years, and this is a 4-year, technically contract extension. And, that just tells you what Rick Hendrick and I would say Jeff Gordon, just because of the, 24 number, those two know of the, what is to be with William Byron for sure, and the potential and skill set he has. So it'll be good to see. Hope he gets it this year, to be honest. Should have had it last year, but yeah.
Should have had it the last 2 years, to be honest about it.
It's a good point.
Technically, if you go and you follow NASCAR Winston Cup points, the guy that does that on X, you will see that William Byron was the 2023 Winston Cup champion. He uses the old point system. So anyway, that's a whole nother. Oh, there is one more piece of news that they have talked about that I forgot to mention. There has been chatter about maybe raising the horsepower this year.
Yes.
Going up to 750. Not enough, in my opinion. We need to have 950 horsepower. And team engine builders have come out and said that we can do that at minimum cost and with minimum time. But it's a step in the right direction.
Yes. All over X, there's actually been quite a few. Now that you mentioned, there's been quite a few interviews with what drivers think about it, and I would say about 95% of drivers would say, "Give us the horsepower. It puts the race more in our hands, and that's what's going to make these races more interesting and entertaining for the fans." Now, that other 5%, I don't know what they're thinking.
I don't think they've driven a high horsepower stock car. They may have driven a high horsepower dirt car or something like that, but they've never driven a high horsepower stock car.
That would be fair, but like I said, so many of the drivers are like, "Give us the horsepower." It puts a whole lot more into the driver's hands. Yes, it's still a team sport, but you're going to see a whole lot more out of the drivers than you do now. And, I am all for it. Yes, as you said, it's not enough in our opinion compared to what we've seen in the past, but also step in the right direction. If we can just start moving forward, we can get there. So hopefully this happens. That would be exciting to see that.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, that's pretty much all the news. Let's get into Charlotte weekend.
Great. I can't talk. Good weekend for the guys actually at the track. Not so good weekend for me for the guy at the simulator. If any of you guys missed it, I tried to do a stream of the iRacing Coke 600. I started 18th, got up to 5th in about 20 something laps, and lap 30 somebody decided to send it into turn 3 and squeezed me in the wall in turn 4, and I was done.
Yeah, your Indy 500 and your Coca-Cola 600 did not go any better than Kyle Larson's.
Well, it's good to know it's not me.
The only thing different was he did his on the same day, and he had to fly from Indy to Charlotte.
Fair enough.
You did it on separate weekends, and all you had to do was walk to your desk.
I had to hit the start button.
Oh, poor finger. So, truck race. What happened in the truck race? Corey Heim dominated. I mean, there's really there's really nothing else to say. He just dominated. Got his 15th Craftsman Truck Series victory. And just one stage 2. Just a complete night for Corey Heim.
Yeah, absolutely. He showed up and he showed out. That's really all I got to say about that.
It's not like he didn't have competition because Ross Chastain was in the field, Kyle Busch, Brandon Jones, Parker Kligerman, drivers in the field that have started a lot of these races, and race in either Xfinity or the Cup Series, and so it's not like they just handed it to him, but he went out there and took it.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you like dominating races, I've never had a problem. We've talked about this before. I've never had a problem with a driver going out and dominating a race. If he is by far the fastest vehicle, which is another reason I don't like stage races. I don't like green, white checkers. I don't like that kind of stuff because a lot of times the truck or the car that goes out there and dominates, they don't win the race because they lose they lose it on a pit stop coming out of a stage break, or there's that green, white checkered where they lose it on a pit stop or whatever, which granted that's on the cruise. Sorry, I'll get it out in a minute. But either which way, it takes away if he goes out there and laps the field and he's the only car in the lead lap, I've never had a problem with that. I have a problem with manufactured finishes. And by manufactured finishes, I mean anything that is caused by a caution or a gimmick like the stages or whatever.
Yep, I would agree. We've gone into that whole spill in a previous episode about our opinions of the stage, caution, and how some of these races run. But honestly, to me, the truck race was really good. Even with Corey Heim just whipping the field.
Oh yeah.
So. Yeah, I'll run down the top 10. Corey Heim obviously wins. Ross Chastain, as we mentioned, finished second. Had a really fast truck. He said in his interview, probably another few 10 laps, I think. He would have been probably, well, I don't remember what exactly he said, but I know he said he was starting to catch the 11 there towards the end. But So good run for Ross for being back in the trucks after quite a while. Caden Honeycutt, third. Lane Riggs, fourth. Kyle Busch, we also mentioned, finished fifth. Kyle struggled most of the night, but still
Yeah, did.
stage, still had top 10 finishes in both stages, and then finished top 5. So his veteran skills showed out for sure there. Grant Enfinger, 6th. Matt Mills, 7th. That's a name I haven't seen before.
Yeah, that's a good run for him.
Really good run by Matt. Daniel Hemrick, 8th. Raja Caruth, 9th. He needed that. Brandon Jones, 10th. Another one who needed a good solid finish.
Yeah, and a shout out to finishing 15th in the 07 Spire car, BJ McLeod. One of the most respected drivers in the garage, just because he's never been in top tier equipment, but he's never been in the way on the track either. So it's good to see him get this opportunity in a top truck and go out there and perform. Yeah, you can say, well, it's only 15th in a Truck Series race, but you got to crawl before you walk. And he's been crawling for a very, very long time. Now he gets a chance to walk. This is his first steps, so to speak. So if BJ is able to continue to get rides like this, you'll see him running in the top 10 and the top 5 in no time. He's got that kind of talent. He's got that kind of respect. So just shout out to BJ McLeod for such a good run and having that opportunity.
Absolutely. I know seeing on the social media pretty much everywhere, everyone was going to BJ saying, getting autographs, saying hi, good luck. Happy you're here. Happy you're back in a car, some sort of racing machine in NASCAR, for, even if it's just for a race. So even the fans love BJ. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
I'm really hoping he gets a whole lot more opportunities to run with this. Your fastest lap isn't shown for me. Does your breakdown show you who had fastest lap?
It was a perfect race for Corey Heim. He got that too. He won both stages. He won the race. He won the fastest lap. I mean, just a perfect night for the 11 team.
Well, as I look now at the points, 61 points. That is the max amount of points you can get during the race. So yes, he literally he kicked butt.
He's got a massive points lead. He's got over 100 points lead after this past weekend at Nashville. He's got over like 114 point lead.
It's it's 122 point lead on Daniel.
Oh wow, it's even bigger than I thought.
Daniel Hemrick.
Right. So yeah, he's dominated this year and probably should have 6 wins at least. So but circumstances beyond his control have kept him from winning those races. So but yeah, perfect night.
Absolutely. Congrats, Corey, winning Charlotte. That's quite the track to win at, I would say, for sure. So moving on to probably the best finish of the weekend, in my opinion, the one we're happy about anyway. The Xfinity race.
Yes.
I will say this was a really good race until all of the whoopsie daisies getting towards the end of the race.
Yeah, that was. I think they even said on the broadcast this is starting to look a little like Martinsville,
Mm-hmm.
with all the craziness going on there at the end of the race. And um, now it did work a little bit out in Justin Allgaier's favor because for some strange reason, when that one caution came out, they told him to pit. He chose not to pit. Um, in hearing his explanation of it, he thought a lot more people were going to stay out than what stayed out.
Mm.
But he also knew that if he got a big enough lead on the restart, that he would be able to keep that lead. But the cautions just kept coming out, kept coming out, kept coming out, kept coming out. Uh, William Byron had won the first two stages. Then he had it was a speeding penalty, wasn't it? On
Uh,
pit road.
Speeding penalty, I believe. Yes.
So that put him in the back and through the cautions. And we've seen this happen. Um, we've seen this happen really in all the series. You get somebody that has trouble on pit road, and then these cautions come out towards the end of the race, and the next thing you know, they're in the top five, and it's like, well, you know, 50 laps ago they had a pit road speeding penalty. How are they back in the top five? It's like, well, you've had all these other cars wreck out, but then you've also had these restarts, and they're getting 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positions every restart. So, and that was kind of what happened here with William Byron. Um, was able to restart up towards the front and made it work and pulled it off. Yay! I've been wanting William to win in the 17 car since Hendrick Motorsports brought the 17 car back to run and select Xfinity Series races. I want to see Connor Day win in this Xfinity car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I really wanted a William Byron Xfinity win in this car. So now I have it. But I tell you, Justin ended up finishing fourth after running up front all day. But I'm gonna tell you who really impressed me in this race. He struggled on the ovals so far this year. We do know he has that road course win at Coda.
Mm.
But Connor Zilic, he has figured out ovals in this Xfinity car.
Absolutely, and I just want to throw in Connor at Talladega. If you remember, really hard hit, kind of messed up his lower back, and took a couple weeks off. And Charlotte's his first race back from that, and you just see he was aggressive, he was eager to be up front, and you see that he had learned from many of the other oval tracks that he knew what he was doing, and he contended for the lead, but again, caution after caution, it was hard to keep that going for so long. So really, really impressed with how well he did, especially coming right back off of a couple weeks off to heal. So
If he makes it through the playoffs and he makes it to that championship 4 at Phoenix, he's going to be dangerous.
mm,
Now a month ago I would have said he's not going to make it to Phoenix because of the way he's run on the oval tracks. But the way he's run, uh, here recently, these past couple weeks, especially, if he's able to make that Final Four, which there is 100%, I mean, there's a high probability that he can make the championship 4. He will be a threat at Phoenix. So it wouldn't surprise me to see 2 RCR cars, 2 Junior Motorsports cars in that Final Four.
I could also see that. Excuse me. Of course, RCR you can pretty much know who, because they only have two Xfinity. But same with the junior motorsports cars, you kind of can guess the two you would say are in there. Um, both of them we talked about. So I'll go through top 10 here. William Byron wins. As you said, yay, we finally get the 17 William Byron diecast. Connor Zilic, as we were, just explaining, second, runner up. Honestly, like I said, he could have had that if not for so many cautions. Nicholas Sanchez with an really good run for the 48, finishing third. Justin Allgaier finishing fourth, as we mentioned earlier. Dean Thompson fifth, good run by Dean.
Yeah.
This one's the one I'm really happy for. Josh Williams sixth, his best finish yet. So good to see him. He's been struggling since the beginning, having had some health issues as well. That didn't help. Really good to see that he's rebounded and he's taking the colleague cars and he's putting them up front. So that's awesome to see. Austin Hill 7th. Ryan Ellis in the 71 finishes 8th.
First career top 10 ever.
Impressive. Do want to mention he started 30th. As you know, though, a lot of cautions, but if you can use them to your advantage, best way to do it. So good job to Ryan for that. Christian Eckes 9th and Sheldon Creed your top 10. I also want to point out Austin Dillon ran this race as well, and he finished 13th.
Yeah, and I just want to talk about Sheldon Creed and Sam Mayer right now for a minute. The former SHR cars being rebranded the Haas factory team this year. 2 new drivers. And just to be, it seems like they've lost a step from what their Xfinity program has been in the past. But they're getting back. They're getting back to where Sam Mayer and Sheldon Creed are used to running, which is top 10s. Kind of surprised to see that happen so quickly with the shakeup and all the people over there that team lost when they announced, that they're shutting down 3 of their Cup teams and all that, all the engineers that they lost. Kind of surprised to see this happen halfway through the season, but it is happening. And, if those two are able to pull off a win, or one of the two of them, it wouldn't surprise me at all, as well as they're running right now.
Absolutely. Two guys with talent. We've seen them running up front, just struggling to finish as far up front as they've been. But as you said, we know that they'll figure that out here, and next race or two, I could believe, and start getting a few wins thrown in. Sure. So your fastest lap for the Xfinity race at Charlotte was Justin Allgaier. So good job, Justin. Extra point for the previous defending Xfinity champion.
Yep.
Now for the heartbreak.
Right?
Man, I don't think I ever wanted to reach through a TV and just punch a person right during their interview. So bad. 3-time champion, my behind.
He's talking about Joey Logano and his block that he threw on William as Ross was catching him. I think despite that, I think Tyler Reddick, the slip up that Tyler Reddick had, I think that's what cost William the most time, because it took him at least. First off, he had to stop, almost had to come to a complete stop. but then it took him a couple laps to get that momentum built back up. Well, Ross never lost his momentum, so Ross was just, while Williams getting back up to speed, Ross is at speed. So that really kind of, I think, hurt William more than Logano did. But William does go out there. He wins the first three stages, and they didn't come easy for him. He had to race for all three. Denny made it hard those first couple of stages, and then Tyler Reddick in that third stage really made him work for it. So it wasn't like it was easy come, easy go for him to win those three stages. But man, just to come, being such a fan of his, to come 5 laps short of winning another crown jewel, a Coca-Cola 600, it's just it's a heartbreaker for William. It's a heartbreaker for his fans. Way to go, Ross. Ross didn't do anything wrong.
No.
Ross ran his race. You could see him coming up through the field all night long as he's getting closer to the front, closer to the front, closer to the front all night long. Went out there, won him a Coca-Cola 600. Congratulations to him. First win of the season. They needed that. They haven't been running all Trackhouse as a whole hasn't been running all that good. So they really needed that. But absolute heartbreaker for William. The big thing, and I mentioned kind of this a little bit earlier when we talked about the Amazon Prime Pros ratio, William Byron accepted their offer to come sit on stage with the team, with the post race show team, and talk about his race. And he didn't have to do that. I mean, he's not media obligated, finishing second, to go sit on go sit up there with them during post race. He could have done his post race interview and his media time and went on.
Mm-hmm.
But he went and he talked about the race, and that shows maturity. A lot of people say that he's a vanilla driver. And he is. He's not, maybe at the track, he may not be the most exciting personality. He's not a Cletus McFarland. He's not a Denny Hamlin. He's not a Carson Hocevar. But when it comes to maturity and how he carries himself and how he acts and how he drives, that's why I'm a fan of his. He may not be the most personality out there, but he's definitely respectable as a driver and respectable as a person.
Absolutely, I would agree. As you said, he doesn't really show a lot of his, personal well-being. He's always got that, mature and well-behaved and well-respectful, look to him going on at the racetrack and during media, wherever he is. If there's a camera or, someone professional nearby, he has that stance. And I do just want to throw in, he's talked about this on his social media. He's talked about he's starting to branch out a little more, show a little more of his character, because he knows that's what fans are wanting to see. And he said he really stepped out of his comfort zone when he did the season 2 of NASCAR Full Speed on Netflix. You got to see, I will say, compared to season 1, he really stepped it up and showed a whole lot more about him in season 2. So he's getting to where he's showing more, of his personal side, but at the same time, as you said, he's keeping that mature and professional stance to him, and I love it. I like you, I love it. I'm a fan of it. I wish there were some more drivers like that, but it's something he does. It's something I respect, and it's something I like. So, way to go, William.
And I'll mention, he's turned up the aggressiveness on the racetrack, which I've been very critical of him over his career, that he was not aggressive enough on the racetrack. He wasn't making passes that he should make. And in the Coca-Cola 600, he started third. He didn't waste time. He went out there and he took the lead. and he fought for it. When Denny passed him, he cooled his tires down and he went after Denny and he got the lead back. He was being very aggressive, and that's what you need to do to win a championship. A lot of drivers that we see that make the championship four a couple times, the reason they don't win that championship is because they're not aggressive on the racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad to see him picking up that aggressive. I want to see a Christopher Bale pick up that aggressiveness. Um, Let me just look at my rundown here. I want to see Chase Briscoe pick up that aggressiveness. Um, I think Chase Briscoe is a championship caliber driver. He's got to get more aggressive on the racetrack. Um, let's see. Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott, he was aggressive for the long time, and I don't know if it's this car or what, but he's really struggled being aggressive with his car. He needs to be more aggressive with his car to be able to contend, because we see the drivers that are aggressive, they're winning races. But yeah, um, and I gotta say, I don't know how you felt about watching the Coca-Cola 600. First off, Amazon Prime hit it out of the park with their broadcast.
Yes.
Um, I've been very critical of Adam Alexander in the past, but the chemistry that he has, go to the CW, the chemistry that he has with Jamie McMurray, Parker Kligerman has been awesome this year. It's almost kind of like, you talk about William coming out of the shell. Adam Alexander has come out of his shell this year a whole lot in the Xfinity series. And now you get him on Prime and you put him in the booth with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Steve Letarte, and he's just getting better.
Mm-hmm.
So Amazon Prime, the entire broadcast. Now, granted, I was watching it on this. Because we were out of town. We were hanging out with family. We were actually the last stage. We're out cooking s'mores around the campfire.
Mm.
But I was still watching. You kind of had one eye and one ear on the race while hanging out with family and stuff like that. But excellent broadcast. But they also had a good race to broadcast.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. As we mentioned at the beginning, they knocked it out of the park right off the bat. Amazing job. And not just the guys on the booth, the people down, what do they call that spot?
Pit road?
Well, there's pit road reporters, which are also doing really good, but it's the Carl Edwards, Corey LaJoie, and I forgot.
Yeah, the pre Daniel Trotta. Yeah.
Daniel Trotta. They're amazing as well. I didn't even, when I saw Corey LaJoie, I was like, oh no, this might actually suck. Dude's hitting it out of the park.
Oh, he's made for TV.
Absolutely.
I gotta say, he's made for TV.
I love how, when it comes to something like, of percentage, he always is like, well, let's flip a penny. And right? If you know him, that's a reference to his podcast, which is Stacking Pennies. So I love that he always throws that in there. It's just funny to me. And then the chemistry that him and Carl seem to have is pretty funny as well.
And I tell you, it's so good. It's so good. Because when Carl Edwards retired at the end of the 2016 season, he disappeared.
Yep.
Just straight disappeared. And, then he got the call for the Hall of Fame. And after he got the call for the Hall of Fame, he did the Dale Jr. download. And now he's been on TV a few times. And now he's part of a broadcast team. So it's so good that they reached out to Carl and brought him back, because the perspective, and we talk about Carl, and I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead to Nashville real quick just for a second. You go and you watch the piece that Carl Edwards did on the concrete tracks, because his nickname was Concrete Carl. Absolutely outstanding by Carl Edwards.
Yes.
So it's so good to see what they're doing. It's good to see how they're using Dale Earnhardt Jr. and his knowledge of racing, and Corey and Carl. It's just it's what I'll tell you what's good. It's good to see a network, and I know Amazon Prime is not a network per se, that cares about racing. The production staff, the on air talent, the off air talent cares about putting the best product that they can absolutely create out for the fan to watch, and I love it.
Absolutely. I do as well. It's amazing. I love that it's so much more involved with, commentating and the drivers and pieces, with talking about the tracks and such. And, it's amazing. I love it. Amazon, you're knocking it out of the park. Keep it up. I'm
Side by side commercials,
yes.
every commercial break.
Yep.
But I don't know if you've noticed this, but in the Coke 600 and this weekend at Nashville, the last 60 or so laps, no commercials whatsoever.
Actually, no, I didn't notice that. But now that you mention it, yeah, that is. I'm not sure, but I know at least the last 50 laps. It may be the last 60. I wasn't paying that close attention, but I know the last 50 laps for sure were no commercial at all. So, which is awesome because we know Fox Sports about, oh, there's 8 laps to go and we'll be right back. And it's like, and it's not even side by side commercials. Right? And it's like,
right.
I'm watching a race, you ding dongs. So yeah, Amazon's doing great. I love it. I'm really interested to see how they're going to cover Mexico City. It's a road course. It's going to be so many different views. I think it's going to be awesome to watch, for sure.
Well, and I tell you what this does. This puts the pressure on NBC and hopefully puts the pressure on Fox. Now, we've heard people defend Fox, which their arguments are very bad, but there is no defense for how bad Fox has gotten.
Mm.
This puts the pressure on Fox. This puts the pressure on NBC. And honestly, it puts the pressure on TNT to be able to match what Amazon Prime does. And we talked about this our last broadcast, where we were just taking shots at what we thought Amazon was going to do, because we kind of believed that Amazon was going to knock it out of the park. And they've proved that that's exactly what they're doing. If this doesn't put the pressure on the other broadcast partners for NASCAR to make their product better, at the end of this contract, we could see a 38 race season on Amazon Prime. And to be honest with you, that would not bother me one single bit.
I'm all for it. I'm all in. Let's do it. I'll be honest. So yeah, amazing job by Amazon Prime for sure. Hopefully Fox steps it up, but I don't know. I guess we'll see next season. NBC, yep. I feel like will somewhat step it up a little. TNT, I'm not sure. That's like Prime. It's going to be new. I'm expecting really good results, especially with them, their segment being the in-season tournament, with the drivers.
And they pretty much have the same on-air talent too. So
yeah, so not much difference with the booth and such. So I think TNT will be pretty good as well. So anyways, back to the race. As you mentioned, heartbreaker for William, great run for Ross. Do want to mention he started dead last, in a backup car rebuilt in the shop.
Yeah, but he didn't, because there were some cars that went back to the rear of the field after he went to the rear of the field. So he was, yes, officially he started 40th, but physically he started like 37th or 38th. But yeah, I mean, he's credited with starting 40th.
Fair enough. Amazing run by Ross. He had speed. He was there. Trackhouse, as you said, needed that win. That's going to give him a huge momentum and confidence boost all around. I'm not going to complain. I like Ross as a driver. I know he's going to have multiple wins. Championship, I'm not too sure. With him,
Not yet.
yeah, I would say not yet. It's one of those, the dominoes kind of have to fall perfectly for him to get it this early in his career. Anyways, before I do the top 10 rundown, I want to talk about one guy that made his way up front as well, but sadly at the beginning of the final stage, his engine went kaboom. Oh my goodness. I was rooting for the kid. Carson Hocevar also started, in the rear of the field, worked his way up in stage 1.
Yeah.
Didn't even need the whole race, just stage 1, raced his way up. He was outside of I believe he was 11th or 12th in stage 1.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
But stage 2, he finished 4th. And then stage 3, he finished 3rd. I was like, this kid is about to knock everybody to the ground. He's about to go fight for the win, for the Coke 600 win. That's what I was rooting for the kid. But sadly, right at the beginning of stage 4, the final stage restart, engine blows up.
Yeah, absolute heartbreaker. But it just goes to show the talent. And the Coca-Cola 600 has been known for first-time winners.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Gordon, Matt Kenseth, Bobby Labonte, champions of the sport have won their first race has been the Coca-Cola 600. Austin Dillon wasn't his. Of course, I know he is not a Cup champion, but his first win was the Coca-Cola 600. Yeah. So, the Coke 600 has been known for first-time winners, and it was looking there at the beginning of the 4th stage. It was really looking like Carson could be that next first-time winner. But man, it just. But the thing is if you're going to have your engine blow up, you want it to blow up that early in the 4th stage. You don't want to be with 5 laps to go fighting for the lead and your engine blow.
Yeah.
Because you're that close and boom. Which has happened before in the Coca-Cola 600. But heartbreaker for the kid, but let's face it, we talked about all 3 of the Spire cars and their ability to win, and he has definitely shown that he has that ability to run up front, and the more he runs up front, the more opportunities he's going to have to win races.
Absolutely. The biggest thing I'll mention too is he's fast in practice. No matter the track, he's been really fast, top 5, top 10 in practices. But sadly, they need to find their qualifying speed. If they can find their qualifying speed, he's definitely going to be there fighting for wins. We can already see him, at the back of the pack, or fighting towards the front, and he's at the front towards getting toward the end of the race. So he finds that qualifying speed. That 77 car gonna be the one to beat, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Just take his teammate Michael McDowell's qualifying and give that to Carson, and yeah, he's gonna be up there.
Yeah,
every week.
I would agree with that. Your top 10 for the Coke 600. is Ross Chastain, the winner. William Byron, after dominating the whole race pretty much, comes up second. Chase Briscoe, pretty quiet for 90% of that race, to be honest. Finishes third. Really good run for him. He needed that. AJ Allmendinger, fourth. A good one for him. Brad Keselowski, fifth. He definitely needed that. The 6 team has sadly not have the best of luck this season.
No, they're 32nd in points.
Yeah,
That's not good.
Good finish for the 6 team. Chase Elliott finishes 6th. Michael McDowell 7th. So there we go. Spire top 10. Christopher Bell 8th. Ryan Preece 9th. A good run for him. Noah Gragson 10th. A good run for Noah. Your fastest lap was Denny Hamlin. He finished 16th.
Yep. And of course, we can't talk Coca-Cola 600 and without talking about the Indy 500 and Kyle Larson doing the double. So that was good to see happen again. Unfortunately, Kyle's race in the Indy 500 didn't go as planned. They got a late start due to weather. They got an even later start due to Scott McLaughlin crashing before the green flag. And then was it Marco Andretti that crashed like first lap or something like that?
I believe so.
So, and then Kyle ended up having some issues on pit road again. Got to the back and then got himself back up to 20th, 21st, something right there. And then he wrecked out himself. Comes to the Coca-Cola 600, starts outside pole, takes the lead, leads a bunch of laps there at the beginning of the race, and then even he made a mistake and wrecked his car in the Coke 600. So he just didn't have a good day. Said that he's not sure about doing it again, just due to the logistics of all of it. And Alex Palou continued his domination with the Indy 500. He's won like 5 straight races or something like that.
Yep.
Up to this point, has a huge lead in the championship. On his way to possibly winning his 3rd consecutive championship. So, Indy was a decent race. It wasn't the greatest Indy 500 I've ever seen. Wasn't the worst Indy 500 I've ever seen either. But we can't not mention that since Kyle Larson was racing in that. Just didn't have a good day.
Yeah.
All around.
Sucks for Kyle. He really wanted to do it. Last year did not go well at all due to a speeding penalty on pit road, and then just a really, really late start to the race due to weather. And then it almost just nothing fell in place for him again this year. So you got to feel bad for him. But just wanting his weekend.
Just not catching a break.
Yeah,
no.
Honestly, struggles for the 5 team almost anywhere they go, really, now. Anyways, I did watch the Indy 500. It was as you said, it was a good race. Wasn't the best, wasn't the worst. Congrats to Alex for winning that.
Yep.
Moving on to Music City, Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville. Probably the second closest racetrack to us. Gateway is closer by like 30 minutes. But that's about it. Nashville's been on the schedule since 2021. It's been one of those toss-up races every year. So last year we had the debacle where Joey Logano went like 110 105, 110 laps on a tank of fuel,
Yeah.
and was able to win with like 5 overtimes. Where everybody else has run out of gas, but he didn't. But that was a perfect example of the slowest car wins the race, which put him in the playoffs, which made him a champion, which, really kind of showed how broken the playoff system is, but that's another story for another day. We find ourselves back there again this year. Started with the truck race, and again, um, the truck races continue to impress. They have not been as wreckfest as they have been in the past all year long, and this one was no exception. Really good race, in my opinion. Only 4 cautions. 2 of those were for stage breaks. So, um, but yeah, another really good race. Corey Haim kind of looked like he was going to run away with this one,
Mm-hmm.
until that caution came out there at the end, where the 71 car was able to get 71 truck was able to get up front, but probably the cleanest that we've seen Lane Riggs and Corey Haim race all year, race each other all year,
Yes.
there at the end of the race, which was good to see, because Lane really needs to clean it up a little bit, especially when it comes to racing Corey Haim for the lead, or racing anybody for the lead, for that matter. But really good race, in my opinion.
Absolutely, I would agree. Nashville, as you said, has always been a toss-up race. And then trucks, I was expecting kind of a wreck fest, but really impressed with this race. Did awesome. Really good racing, a lot of passing, different lanes being used as well. So overall, really good race. I'm very happy with the end results. Uh, just because I am a Raja Karuth fan. The 71 truck gets it done thanks to that late caution. There kind of helped him bounce into the lead. But another couple of laps, he probably wouldn't have had it. I mean, Corey Haim
Yeah.
and Lane Riggs were both right there on his bumper, coming down to, I think it was like 8 or 9 laps to go. They were catching him, and did catch him, but they ended up fighting each other for the second, which gave him a little bit of a breathing room there towards the end. So just awesome job by the 71 team. They needed that, for sure. Raja's been a little bit of a roller coaster this season.
Yeah.
He's had some really good finishes. He's had some really bad finishes.
Hmm.
But awesome to see.
Yeah, I mean, those last 30 laps or whatever, watching the 11 and the 34 chase down the 71, were very entertaining. The broadcast was just awful.
Nah, man,
But I mean, they had probably one of the most exciting finishes of the year in the truck series, and it's like, and Raja Karuth holds them off to win. And it's just like, really? It's like, come on now, this is bad. Um, and it goes to say, a great broadcast can make a bad race good. A bad broadcast can make a great race bad.
mm-hmm.
It really is. It really is true. But um, if you if you're one of those people that turn the races on and listen to it in the background, your ears are probably bleeding by the time you get to the end of the race. If you're watching it, and you can get excited even though the commentary is not getting excited. And I was getting, I mean, I'm sitting there, and I'm watching, and I'm like, all right, Raja, you gotta get past this lap truck. All right, you gotta keep it high because they're coming high. You gotta keep it low because here they come.
Yep.
But yeah, those last 30 laps were just absolutely wonderful to watch, and fun to watch. And the thing about this series, as well as the Xfinity series, had they been able to catch him, they would have passed him.
Yeah.
or at least gotten side by side. He may have been able to hold them off, but at least they could have gotten side by side, unlike the Cup Series, where they just would have followed the leader for 100 laps. But we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, way to go, Raja. Did you see where Carson was watching up in the stands? Apparently, that's something that Carson does every week. Is he'll go and watch the truck and Xfinity races in the stands with the fans. So that's really cool to see.
So I did not know that. I did not catch that. I did see him go congratulate Raja at the end of the race. Love the outfit, Carson. Pretty awesome. But no, that's awesome to see, Spire teammates, even though they're in different, series, congratulate. And, Carson just hanging out with the fans, just awesome to see with that as well. Yeah, as you said, really cool for Raja. Cool to see, getting support from another teammate as well. I'll run down the top 10 for Nashville with trucks. Roger Kruth gets it done, holding off both Corey Heim, who finishes second, and Lane Riggs, who finishes third. Daniel Hemrick finishes fourth. Corey Day finishes fifth. What a great run for him. They did mention this was only like his fourth, I think.
Fourth start. Yeah.
Oval run that wasn't dirt. So really impressive for him. Kid's gonna get him one for, in my opinion, for sure. Towards the next, I would say end of the season, but
yeah, he's running that 17 Xfinity car most of the rest of the season too. So
yeah,
in addition to several more truck races, so he's definitely has the opportunity to get him a win this year.
For sure. Caden Honeycutt brings it sixth. Chandler Smith seventh. Ty Majeski eighth. Bailey Curry ninth. Grant Enfinger, your top 10. Kyle Busch also was in this race. He finishes 15th.
Yeah, really struggled. Kyle really seemed to struggle in this race. So, but yeah, fastest lap was, of course, Corey Heim. Raise your hand if you're surprised.
Where are you up?
Dude's just fast every week. So what does it matter?
Yeah, very true.
So yeah. Where? Uh-oh. I don't think I have my Xfinity stats on here. Uh-oh. Did I delete them on accident? Or did I just not download them? I just did not download them. Okay. No big deal. I can pull them up. I can go to NASCAR.com and pull them up, or to the NASCAR app and pull them up. But I would say the Xfinity race, I don't know about you, I would say the Xfinity race was the best race of the weekend. Usually is, so no surprise there.
Yeah, I would agree for sure. Xfinity was really good this for Nashville. I really don't know what else to say.
Well, let's see. Justin Allgaier gets it done. Justin's really, really good at Nashville. See, stage one, stage two. We talk about a perfect race. It was a perfect race for Justin.
Yes.
61 points in Nashville. Has another person that has a huge lead in the point standings. I think his lead is like 82 points or something like that.
His point lead is 92 points on Austin Hill.
Oh, 92. So, which, we talk about this, but 122 points and 92 points is almost unheard of in this playoff era.
Yes, for sure.
So that just shows how dominant they are. But Connor Zillage finished second. Again, we talked about him. Great run. But the racing at this track in this series was just, I mean, it was phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll go ahead with top 10 with Justin Allgaier won it. Connor Zillage, as I said, finished second. Sam Mayer third. Again, I mentioned him earlier. Sheldon Creed I'm sorry, Sam Mayer third. Sheldon Creed fourth. Like I said, I talked about the Haas Factory team and how good they're running. This is two top fives for them. They were in contention all day. Ross Chastain in that 9 car is fifth. Eric Amarola sixth. Austin Hill seventh. Jesse Love eighth. Carson Kvapil ninth, and Sammy Smith 10th. We mentioned Corey Day. He finished 11th in that 17 car. And then, of course, still want to give a shout out to Harrison Burton, who finished 12th, who was caught up in a wreck. Probably had no business finishing 12th. But still, he's really outrunning the equipment. I mean, we've talked about it all year, is what he's been doing with the equipment. So good rundown there. I don't know. You'll have to see if you have the fastest lap on there. I think it was Justin Allgaier, though.
Fastest lap, yes. You mentioned it earlier. Justin had the perfect weekend.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
So,
Duh.
yeah,
Hello.
Justin Allgaier with the fastest lap. Good job to Justin. That gives him. They mentioned quite a couple of times that he wanted a second guitar for his second daughter. Now both of his girls have a Nashville Victory guitar. So love to see when the drivers want to not just win for the team and for themselves, but for their family as well. So I love that.
Well, and that kind of reminds me of they interviewed Dale Jr. in the media center afterwards, and they were, talking about your family and your family in the cars, and he was really praising Justin for that, and then dropped a little bit of news, possible news, said he's not quite sure he's done with the Xfinity Series races as well. So, would love to see Dale come out and get him a win and take his daughters to victory lane as well. So
absolutely.
But yeah, it's good to see that family aspect. I want to say that Harvick started all this with Keelan, back many years ago, and it's really really good to see these drivers bring their kids to the track for one, which they've always brought their kids to the track, but the kids are getting they're getting these experiences that they'll never forget with dad in the car. So that's awesome to see that. So, but yeah, Justin Allgaier, we talk about domination. Justin Allgaier, Corey Heim, you can almost say that they're locks for their respective championship fours. They're the favorites, obviously, for the championship. These situations, we mentioned the 122-point lead that Corey Heim had, the 92-point lead that Justin Austin. Wow, where'd that come from? Justin Allgaier has. This is where the playoffs irk me, because these guys have earned this big lead. Then here in a few weeks, they're going to go into the playoffs where they're going to lose the majority of their lead. Yeah, they're going to get 15 playoff points, but 15 points, 122. 15 points, 92. There's a big gap in between that. And I just don't think it's fair. I have, for one, and I know you are as well, full season points championship. I don't care if Corey Heim has wrapped up the Truck Series championship and there's still 3 races to go. I don't care if Justin Allgaier wraps up the Xfinity Series championship and there's 2 races to go, or XYZ wraps up the Cup Series championship and there's 2 or 3 races to go. I, as a hardcore fan, I'm going to watch every time the cars are on the track in a race situation because I don't watch practice and qualifying like I used to, um, just due to time and stuff like that. Uh, but if they're on the track at Phoenix or Homestead or wherever the final race is, and there's a race on, I'm watching it. I don't need the playoffs to make me watch the races. I'm going to watch a NASCAR race over a football game. As a matter of fact, I'm just not going to watch any football games. Um, because of the stuff that they promote and they're still promoting and all that. I am not going to watch any NFL games because of what they promote. NASCAR is the only major league sport that I watch hardcore. I may catch a basketball game here and there. I may catch a college football game here and there, but I will watch every NASCAR race that I can possibly watch. I love NASCAR's Tubi channel. Why? Because I can go and watch old races, and I watch them as often as I can, because I'm a fan of the sport. So these championship leads, these drivers have earned them. These teams have earned them. They shouldn't have them taken away for some playoff thing. But that's another story for another day. Moving on to the Cup race, the worst race of the weekend. Not a terrible, 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 terrible race, but not a great race either. Ryan Blaney went over 100 laps on the right side on his left side tires.
Yeah.
That is unacceptable. Unacceptable. For any track.
Yeah, that makes no sense to me, honestly. Tire wear should have been horrendous on those tires. He should not have had those tires last that long at all. So, and the fact that he was faster than William Byron and Denny Hamlin is even
on 4 tires.
Yeah, is even the crazier aspect of this, and I think it's a bunch of baloney. Yeah, I really don't know what to tell you other than I don't like it. It should not have. They need to go back to, we've talked about the horsepower, but not just the horsepower. Go back to the tire compound. What is this stuff? This is not an original tire where it would wear down. The one Bristol race where nobody knew what in the world was going on, but the tires were gone in 40 45 laps. That needs to be at every track.
Yeah.
Whatever, figure out what happened to those tires and start making those tires for every race.
And I think that's where some of this horsepower will come in, because they'll burn the tires coming up off of the corner, because they'll have to have horsepower to get speed. So they'll spin the tires, which will wear the tires. But tires should not last an entire fill run, in my opinion, at any track. Yeah, you definitely have a point. This is beyond ridiculous, and it needs to be addressed. It needs to be fixed. I would be in favor of going back to a smaller tire, to a tire that's not as wide. Go back to the old 5 lug nut tires, because those tires, for a lot of time, Goodyear knows how to make those tires wear out. We need to go back. We need to get something going, because this is not racing, in my opinion. This is, because they're not saving tires. They don't have to. And it's not racing, in my opinion. So, nothing against Ryan or his team. They played the hand they were dealt, and by God, they played it perfectly.
Yep.
They took a two of a kind and was able to win the hand with the two of a kind. I mean, with one pair. Um, the only thing is that pair just happened to be a pair of left side tires.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but not the greatest race. Another great broadcast. Not the greatest race, but I would say it was an average race. If I was to grade it, I would give it a 70, 65, 70, somewhere in that. An average race. It wasn't that great. It wasn't that bad. Um, Comers and goers. Kyle Larson had his problems and rebounded. Bubba Wallace had his problems and rebounded. Um, Unfortunately, other drivers had problems and didn't seem to rebound. Chase Elliott just seemed to be having an off night on restarts. Every restart, he lost positions. Chase Briscoe started on the pole, but and led some laps, but just once he got back in the back, he just couldn't go anywhere. Then we had some craziness with some of the wrecks. Let's talk about one in particular. Let's talk about Carson and Wreckham Ricky. Ricky was not too pleased with getting punted, but would you say that was a racing incident, or would you say that was Carson driving over his head, or maybe a combination of both?
I would say it's a combination of both, but I would say a racing incident weighs out Carson driving over his head. I saw nothing wrong with what Carson was doing. He was running his line. I think it was more of a spotter mistake with Ricky's spotter. His spotter should have caught the speed Carson was going to have going into that corner, and Ricky should have stayed high, in my opinion. Because if he hadn't come low, he wouldn't have gotten bumped. And another thing, I've said this multiple times with the iRacing streams I've done. If you can't take a bump, get out of the way. I know Nashville's a little different, especially in the corners. I've run the track. Those corners are tight for a super speedway. So I kind of understand, but in my opinion, Ricky should have stayed high. So that's my opinion. I think Carson didn't really do anything wrong. He probably could have checked up a little bit more, seeing that Ricky was pulling down in front of him. But at the same time, I think Carson did what he needed to do.
Yeah, I think it was just a racing incident. Two cars going for the same spot, and I don't think it was anything intentional on Carson's. I don't think he went in the corner being like, oh yeah, I'm going to spin Ricky out. I don't think it was intentional on Ricky. Oh, I'm going to cut him down and cut him off. Yeah, I just think it was just one of those racing incidences, in my opinion. But the good news about all this is Carson is getting put in situations that he's going to learn from.
Mm-hmm.
Next time he's in that situation, he might back off a little bit and to avoid that contact. Or he may just lay in it and be like, well, if I'm going to take him out, I'm going to take him out. But either which way, he's getting put in situations where he's having to learn, and being put in those situations. We talked about him blowing up at the beginning of stage 4 in the Coca-Cola 600. Well, if that was 3 stages, Coca-Cola 600 was a 3-stage race like this was, good chances he would have finished second at the Coca-Cola 600 or possibly won it in the same way that he finished second here at Nashville. So, the faster he gets, the more he runs up front, the more they're going to have to deal with him. And we saw the same thing with Ross Chastain. As Ross Chastain started learning how to run up front, he had some incidences.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he's learned those lessons. And Ross doesn't really, he still pushes the envelope. He's still aggressive, but he's not making those mistakes. and Carson's going to have to come down that same path. When I was listening to, I want to say it was Actions Detrimental this morning. It was either that or the Teardown, because I listened to both those this morning. They talked about Kevin Harvick, um, Carl Edwards, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, and Ross Chastain, Kyle Busch. They've all went through this learning time where they had to go and they had to make these mistakes, and they had to do stuff on purpose for other drivers to call them out on. And then, all of those drivers that I mentioned are future Hall of Famers, right? Or current Hall of Famers. They've made it in the Hall of Fame. Carson's going to be the same way. He's going to take this, he's going to learn from this, and he's just going to get better and better and better and faster and faster and faster. And we see him finishing second here. And had it not been for some lap traffic, he very well could have possibly run down, because he was running down Ryan Blaney there before they hit lap traffic. They hit lap traffic and it kind of stalled everything out. But you keep finishing second, you're eventually going to win.
Yep. And this isn't the first time he's finished second, so we know he's going to get there. Interesting incident between Carson and Ricky. Carson did say, as like, I don't know what to comment about it, because I'd have to see the replay, because it may have been my fault, may have been Ricky's fault, may have just been an oopsie daisy because of the racing. He was very honest about, and you like the people that say, I want to see the replay before I give a comment, because they may come out and say, oh yeah, okay, I see the replay, I shouldn't have done that, that's my bad. So
exactly.
Props to Carson with his choice of action, I would say, I guess. I don't know. Your top 10 for Nashville, Ryan Blaney gets it done. Don't know how, with over 100 laps on one side of tires. Carson Hocevar, runner up in second. Kid's got speed. He's going to go places. Denny Hamlin third. I'll talk about him real quick. Ties Jeff Gordon with best 700th career start. It's a high number.
Yeah. Both of those were able to finish third in their 700 start, which, is not an easy thing to do at 700. Denny talked about it on Actions Detrimental. He's like, usually by this time you're losing a step. You look at Jimmy Johnson's 700 start in the Coke 600. Didn't go all that great. Really wouldn't have known he was in the race if it hadn't been for the big deal that they made out of it being a 700 start. But to finish third in your 700 start, that means you can still get it done. And on top of that, we didn't know if he was going to make his 700 start because he's been on baby watch all weekend. So
yeah.
So not only did he get to start, but he got to finish the race. So and then finish third. So that's pretty cool.
And I'll I will also throw out there that he does have 2 wins in the season. So to hit 700 start, finish third, and still pretty much be locked in the playoffs already. He's still there. He's still got the skill. He's still got the talent. So, I think
he's running out of time to win that championship.
Yeah, though. I was about to say, it's still funny how he's missing a trophy though, that he's been chasing.
He is this generation's Mark Martin. Mark Martin is one of the greatest people to ever strap into a race car. Greatest drivers ever to strap into a race car. No championships in the Cup Series. Denny's the same way. Great driver, one of the greatest drivers to ever strap into a race car. Still missing that championship, but time is running out. 700 starts. He's in his mid-40s. Contract year next year. Lawsuit going down. Time is running out for Denny.
Indeed. So yeah, keep going, Denny. That's all I'm gonna say. Joey Logano 4th, William Byron 5th, Bubba Wallace with a really good run after struggling. Had a speeding penalty on pit road, finishing 6th. He came up with post race. That was when they pulled out a drink.
Yeah.
That was I was like, huh, interesting. I'll be honest, kind of cool. I also like how he was like, it's Coca-Cola, y'all, don't worry. Anyways, props to Bubba. They needed that. He said it himself. They needed that. They've had a lot of bad races this season, so good
Which
to
is
see.
crazy because they're 10th in points.
Yeah, they are. It's crazy. So, Eric Jones with a good top 10 finish, finishing 7th. He needed that. This is his 2nd top 10 of the season.
Something like that, yeah.
I
want to say that's right.
Kyle Larson. I can't talk today. Kyle Larson. I have voice crack. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on right now. Kyle Larson. There we go. Finishing 8th. Tyler Reddick 9th. Good to see both 23XI teams in top 10, especially with a lawsuit going on. Just I know we pointed that out a lot. Going to point it out again. And Christopher Bell rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, so Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson both had problems in the race. Took them. Christopher Bell, he just, like 15 laps after he got spun out, they're like, well, Christopher Bell's in the top 15 again. I'm like, wait, what? He was just like backwards in the wall 15 laps ago. So great comeback for both of them, as well as Bubba Wallace. Great run for Eric Jones. You know, he was on my nerves a little bit there for a while, racing side by side with the 24 car, but was able to pull that off. But SVG is even having. He finished 15th at Charlotte and then finished 25th here. Kind of struggled, but he was in the top 15 for a lot of this race. Pit stops and blah blah blah, and all that happened, and kind of kept him from finishing up front. But still, it's a pretty good race for SVG.
Yes, indeed. So I also want to point out Denny Hamlin, fastest lap. So still has the speed, as we talked about with his 700 start.
Yep. For sure.
All right. Start wrapping up here.
Now we get to
we'll talk about
our
fantasy.
favorite
part. I actually did pretty well, in my opinion, with my lineup.
Well, except for the fact that you lost 50 points to me again.
Shush.
So after Charlotte, the rundown was I had 2,381 points. You had 1,997 points. And Trey had 1,925 points coming out of Charlotte. So y'all had some ground to make up. And, well, neither one of you did.
Yeah, Trey made some ground on me, though, so I need to step up a little bit. I need to go back to telling him. Actually, it's not telling him.
Stop reminding him?
Yeah. I reminded him. He was like, I did. I was like, okay. So, yeah. Overall, right now, you're in first, 25.89. I'm in second, 21.45. Trey right behind me, 21.10. Yeah, you got over a 400 point lead on us. So yippee. My roster for Nashville, because I didn't save Charlotte. I'm gonna start trying to save both races for us. I had Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain, Christopher Bell, Bubba Wallace, Josh Berry. He was kind of my wild card there. And then I had Austin Dillon in the garage. Honestly, don't ask me why. Matchups, I lost Chastain versus Elliott. I had Elliott picked over Chastain, but Chastain finished 11th, Elliott 15th. Blaney versus Buescher. I had Blaney over Buescher, so I got that one. Priest versus Zane Smith. I had Priest picked. I lost that one. And Logano versus Reddick. I had Reddick. I lost that one. So
Yeah, that's pretty much the same results I had on those picks. My lineup was Blaney, Chastain, Reddick, Briscoe, Logano, and I had Chase in the garage to end the race. To start the race, though, I actually had Blaney in the garage. And then Tyler Reddick had his he had that issue with I think it was his right front tire went flat. So I swapped him out, put Blaney in, swapped out Reddick, and then I took Chase out just because he was losing positions on every restart. Every restart, it's like, well, now Chase is back in 21st. How did he get back in 21st? And I go and I'd watch him in the I'd back up and watch the replay of the restart, or watch the re-watch the restart, however, and I'd be like, well, that's why, because he started on the bottom and 5 cars passed him. So it's like, so I put him just because he wasn't doing really well on restarts. And in the end, he only cost me 3 points because he only finished 3 points ahead of Chase Briscoe. So, but yeah. I'm starting to run out of people. I've got 4 Blaine. I've got 4. I can use Blaney 4 more times. I can use Reddick 3 more times. Briscoe 3 more times. And I think I have 4 more times left on William. Everybody else, I have at least 7 more to use. So, and then we reset. So,
yep. I've closed my app out now, but I'm pretty sure I have most of those drivers are still at 7 or 8 for me. Probably hence why you're absolutely crushing us in points right now. So anyways, some further news for no, go ahead. You probably have more NASCAR stuff.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I scroll down and I look at the hot picks and I look at who to avoid and the sleepers. Every once in a while, I'll use the sleeper, and that's probably what's helped me out a lot, because they'll have a sleeper. I'll put the sleeper in the garage. I'll look at their past few races at that track and I'll be like, okay, yeah, I can see why they're a sleeper. I'll put them in the garage.
Mm-hmm.
And that way, if it don't work out there in the garage, I didn't gain anything. I didn't lose anything.
Fair enough. Yeah, I was doing that, and then I kind of quit. I'm probably going to have to start going back to that again. But anyways, some updates to the channel. Some new things are coming. Season 2 of the iRacing with H&N iRacing League should be starting up very soon. Our Clash is at the time of this recording is tomorrow. By the time this is uploaded, today. So tune in. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you know when that goes live. Fun fact about the Clash: we are not doing the next gen cars like we run in the actual season. We are going to do some choo-choo old style racing with the Gen 4 Cup cars. Yay!
That's gonna be cool.
Horsepower tire wear. Let's go. I'm excited. I'm pumped. Already ran a couple of practice races. You can't touch the other people with this car. If you do, you're both going to go flying into the infield or the wall. I went flying into the infield just because I wanted to see what happened. Let's just say I pulled a Dukes of Hazzard stunt while I went to the infield. You saw my whole car go like this. I thought it was awesome. I was like, yes. To be fair, I'm pretty solid with these cars just because it's the console car I grew up with. NASCAR 06, I still play to this day. That's the Gen 4 car. So super excited for the Clash. It'll be a lot of fun, in my opinion. So stay tuned for that. The season to dates to be announced. So look out for that. I believe we are sticking with Tuesday night races. So that'll be a lot of fun. Also, want to shout out NG Gaming and Ghost. They're both on TikTok. Check them out if you have the Talk of the Ticks. We are going to start a collab with a Minecraft series. I believe we're going to be doing every Sundays. Mine will be kind of probably on and off. NG Gaming will probably be on and off, but Ghost, I believe, will be streaming every single one. We started last night, hence I was up till about 2 a.m. and I went, oh crap, I should have been in bed about 3 hours ago. So a lot of fun with them. We started just they were on stream, and we started it, and it was a lot of fun. And they were like, "Hey, let's turn this into a series." So stay tuned for that. Some Minecraft content with some friends of mine coming soon. So also going to be continuing the Star Wars Jedi series as well. That one's can't really tell you when I'm going to do that one. That one's just kind of thrown in at random times when I'm free. So stay tuned. Lots coming to the channel. Super excited. Pushing out some more shorts clips as well. So that is helping. Thank you to those guys that have subscribed from seeing the shorts. Yeah, that is all I've got. You got anything else?
Yeah, the only thing we've got coming is we have the Austin Dillon Richmond win from last year. We've been billed for it. I haven't gotten a shipping notification yet, so hopefully sometime next week we will get that shipped to us. We did buy the autographed version, which is coming directly from the RCR shop. So yeah, it kind of sucks that you have to get some exclusive sometimes from the individual shops, but that's just kind of how it works. And then we don't have any diecast coming in until mid-July, because Lionel put a pause on their shipments with all the tariff discussions and all that. But we do have shipping reports for July. Let me scroll up here to my note real quick. I'm not sure we've got anything that's a big deal coming in. We've got a couple of Truex's final rides coming in from last year. We got a Chase Elliott coming in. I do have the RCR 1987 unveil car will be coming in. Probably do a review on that. And then I got Dale Jr.'s Bass Pro Shop late model coming in, but that's nothing that special. I might do the Truex cars, just because those were his final couple runs with JGR. There was the throwback that they did, then there was the legacy one that they did. The next big one that we have coming out will be Justin Allgaier's Phoenix win, which should be not too far off. We don't have a arrival date on it, but watching the cars that as they're coming out and when they were ran, that should be coming. I'm guessing probably August sometime. So look for those coming out. Other than that, really don't have anything going on my end. Don't know if I'm going to get any gameplay in this summer. Got a lot of stuff going on, um, family wise, and I have applied for a new position, a new job, and we'll see how that goes through. Um, I thought about doing some gameplay and just replaying through Red Dead Redemption 2. Been seeing a lot of interviews from the cast of
Mm,
that game, and it's just kind of got me fired up. I want to go back through and play through that again. I might do that. If I do that, I'll stream it. So that's about all I've got going on.
awesome. Yeah. I do want to mention July, a couple weeks there in July, probably most of July will be kind of a flat space with content for us. Probably the only thing we'll get in is maybe a podcast video. I've mentioned it multiple times before. I will be getting married in the middle of July, so I will be very busy with finishing that up and then doing that as well and then doing everything afterwards. Mostly bunch of paperwork because, changing somebody's name, you got to make sure the government knows, which I'm okay with that. That's about the one part I'm okay with the government. So I'll be I'll be pretty busy July, and of course Duke Ryder will be assisting me with probably 50% of that. Um,
That's what he thinks.
okay, he's helping for 30 minutes. That's about it.
Nah, I'll help wherever I can, but
But yeah, I'm getting married this in July, so I do apologize in advance. July is probably going to be very flat with content. I'll try to have stuff set up for some shorts, but we'll see. Honestly, I can't promise anything. I don't want to promise anything just in case. So apologies in advance with that. But June shall be pretty packed, I believe. So with my end. Anyways, yeah, that is all I officially have. Do you want to do our non-sponsoring shoutouts?
yeah, for sure. So if y'all aren't listening to these podcasts, y'all are really missing out. If you want to know where we get our news, and I try to give credit to these guys um, every time I can. Sometimes I'll forget, but I try to give them credit. But hey, check out the Scene Vault podcast with Rick Houston and Steve Wade. Rick Houston finally got every single episode or every single edition of the Scene Winston Cup Scene magazine, Sprint Cup Scene. I mean, they changed their names kind of throughout as NASCAR changed the series. Every single issue has been scanned and preserved. Um, Hopefully, they hope to one day get those online and available to fans. But man, that's a lot of hard work. He spent over 5 years scanning all of those. But go and listen to the podcast. Great history of the sport. Great interviews. Awesome stories that they have to tell. They've been involved in the sport for a very, very long time. Um, so check out Door Bumper Clear, Dirty Mo Media Podcast, Dale Jr. Download, Actions Detrimental, the Teardown with Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi. Check out them. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has another series coming out called uh, it's getting to know Earnhardt or Earnhardt, something along the lines where he did the 1979 series with Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s 1979. Went through the whole 1979 series. He's got the 1980 series coming out very soon. They have it recorded, so it'll be up very soon. Check that out. It's so interesting to hear, Dale Senior stories go throughout Dale's career with Dale Jr. and his input and his commentary and all the research that's went on there. So check that out. That'll be coming out soon on Dirty Mo Media's platforms. Check out Happy Hour with Kevin Harvick, Stacking Pennies with Corey LaJoie. Another good couple podcasts that aren't under the Dirty Mo Media umbrella that we listen to. Be sure to follow all of those guys on X. Great information, great follows. Kevin Harvick raced Keelan Harvick for the first time in the Cars Tour West Series. Kevin ended up getting wrecked while racing for the lead, and Keelan was able to win that race. But following Kevin, if you don't follow Kevin on X, you don't know about that kind of stuff. So follow them as well. Follow Bob Pockrass. Follow Matt Weaver. Matt Weaver covers every facet of motorsports that there is, especially like local, some of the bigger short track races that you don't hear about. Matt covers that. Matt puts up a lot of information about the Cup races, the Xfinity races, the truck races that other people don't put out there. So follow Matt. Follow Jayski, Couch Racer, of course, Brock Beard on X and on YouTube. Some really good follows on X that I have not mentioned before. Of course, Brett Griffin used to be on Door Bumper Clear. Follow him on X. Joel Edmonds is another good follow. Former spotter, good follow on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And then, of course, our favorite, StrictlyDiecast.com. Follow all their social medias. They have an auction page. Go check out their auction page. Go check out their website for all of your diecast needs. Still waiting on them to sponsor us. That'd be awesome. And then, of course, HNN TV on YouTube, where you can follow all of SterlingRider's iRacing fun. iRacing League fun. Not all of his iRacing fun, but all of his league fun.
Yeah, from a broadcasted perspective. All links down in the description below. If they aren't there, my bad. But I'm pretty sure they're all there. For our sponsoring shout outs with our partners, you got Dubby Deerless Energy Blend. It is summertime. They have a hydration formula mix, so check out their hydration mixes. They're really good, really great for the summer to stay hydrated. So check them out. Rankest Rope Ranch Wear, your Western and rodeo attire mixture. And then you also got UDX Undrdog Athletix faith-based athletic apparel. And then follow Him Apparel, your regular faith-based apparel. Check them all out. All links down in the description below, along with what code to use at checkout. So thank you to them. Also, if you haven't checked it out yet, Earnhardt on Prime.
Yes.
Really good. I've sadly only watched episode 1 and 2, but holy smokes. Normally when I watch something like those, I'm doing something else. I had to stop everything I was glued to the TV. I was glued. I'm really excited for episode 3 and 4. I haven't seen it yet, but seeing the response on Twitter, I know it's emotional. I know it's really good. So check it out for sure. Other than that, thank you guys for watching or listening. Probably listened more than you watched, to be honest. Appreciate you guys. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. It's free. Hit the notification bell so you know when there is a new podcast episode, new short uploaded, or a new diecast review uploaded, although kind of on a pause with those right now, as Duke Ryder explained. And also when there's a live stream going on. Leave a comment. Ask us questions. If there's something about the news you don't understand, something about the race breakdown you didn't understand, or something about... I had it in my mind.
Give us your thoughts and opinions.
Yeah, just
thoughts, what we talk about.
Something you just want our opinion on with NASCAR in general. Just leave a comment down below. We want to start interacting with you guys some more. Again, thanks for listening and tuning in. Thanks for watching if you watched, And yeah, any last words?
Yeah, do want to mention we talked about Amazon Prime having awesome coverage. Not only do they have awesome coverage, but they are giving you these races for free. They're offering a 30-day free trial to anybody who has not subscribed to Amazon Prime. And if you subscribe to Amazon Prime, you have Amazon Prime Video. So if you're getting all your packages mailed to you for free shipping, you have Prime Video, so you're already paying for it. So you have the races. Go and watch them. But if you don't, they're giving it to you for free. 30-day free trial. You could have gotten all 5 races on Amazon Prime for free. That is awesome. I bet you they don't do that next year.
Yeah, they probably won't, to be honest. Yeah, for sure. It's awesome. I reckon you've heard our hype about it. It is awesome. They've knocking it out of the park. So next up, you got Michigan, and I sadly forgot the name, but Mexico City road course. That one I think is going to be pretty good, pretty interesting. So we will see you guys again after those 2 races. So yeah, thanks. We'll see you next time. My mind went blank.
Yeah, y'all be blessed. Have a blessed week. Have a blessed couple weeks. We'll see you on our next show.
With that being said, peace out. Right on. God bless.